everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. We're under the hood of the dually here, dealing with the fallout from our fan flying off incident. It's probably a couple of weeks ago now. It's been sitting here. I just haven't had time to get at it. So I've got some parts. Let's get to work. We got the coolant coming out of it. Aside from the radiator leaking, it only leaks when it gets warm and gets pressure to it. When it cools off and the pressure stops, it doesn't leak. So I'm guessing it's the crimp on the bottom of the tank over there. And I got in there with checking for codes, and I got a couple of codes for the fan clutch. So one says the fan speed was out of range. Yes, okay, I understand that because the wires were wrapped around it and it couldn't turn. But it said the fan control circuit is open, and that's bad. That means there's a broken wire or two in the harness there. So we got to change everything. Here is a good used radiator we picked up. It came from an 05, I think. It's an original Chrysler one. I looked around. I could buy an aftermarket one, but this one popped up for a price I couldn't refuse. And I said, well, for that, I'll try it. And here's an almost brand new fan clutch that I grabbed at a swap meet. Guy said no issue with it. He put it on just before the truck got scrapped. You know, the salt got it or whatever. We'll try it. Now, to get this radiator out, just to make things easier for me, I'm going to take out the crossbar. We're going to take out the air box. I think these have to come out anyway. If you see here, it's got these big things that stick out the side that it sits on. And we're going to have to get down there and get the charge air pipes out. Yippee. For such a huge truck, there's not a lot of room under the hood. So we're just going to start going at it and taking stuff out until we can get the radiator out. This really, really pisses me off, man. I had this thing all together so nice, but what are you going to do? That's how she goes. Well, I got enough stuff out of the way that I managed to get the shroud out. Now what I've got to do, you can see down there, it's hard to see. The power steering cooler is screwed to the front of the radiator. So I got to get in there with a 13 mil wrench, take two screws out, and then we should be able to lift the radiator out. Hopefully I've got enough room to go this way. I can get it past the charge air pipe on this side. We won't find out until we try. Not a chance. So we're going to have to take out everything on this side. Isn't that fun? This thing, charge air pipe. We'll probably have to jiggle the charge air cooler around a little bit. We'll see. Now I got the fan out. I got these two jugs out. I've got a lot more room in here now. You can see there where when the standoff for the rad mount comes up, it gets tangled with the air conditioning pipe. And over on this side, it gets tangled up with the charge air pipe. So I'm kind of hoping if I get this, I'm going to take that screw off and get the rubber boot off of this charge air pipe. The end of the rad should just clear it and we should be okay. Well, there it is out. You can see the fan. The fan gave it a couple of shots when it came off. It got it up there. It got it down around there. And she seemed to be leaking down in this corner here. But it's hard to say. What I'll do is, once this is all said and done, I'll make up some plugs. We'll plug this radiator up and see if we can figure out where the heck it's leaking. Maybe we can fix it. It's possible just the big bang. The big bang from the fan coming off just disturbed the crimp down here or something. And maybe we can just give it a little squeeze and fix it up. It'd be really nice to have this as a spare if it could be fixed. But anyway, let's check out our new one and see about getting it in. There's our replacement. You can see they look exactly the same. I checked; they're exactly the same. The same part number, even down to the 2-letter suffix at the end. So it is the exact same radiator. This one's missing the drain cock. I did buy a new one. Let's see if it fits. Here's our new one from Dorman. It looks exactly the same as the old one. So we'll go ahead and pop that in and see how it works. There we go. Now we're just going to check it over and make sure all our hardware is there. So we need a rubber isolator on each side. They're there. We need the 2 captive nuts for the fan shroud. They're there. And on the other side, there should be 2 captive nuts for the oil cooler. There's one. There's the other. And this, you can see here, it's got 2 more captive nuts at the top because this truck actually had an automatic transmission. And it had a big transmission cooler stuck in there as well. With our manual transmission, we don't have that. So anyway, I'm going to get over there and drop this baby in. What a gong show, man. All because they just had to put wires between the fan and the radiator. Think about that. I keep thinking, and they ran them like that for years. From 2003 till 2013, these Cummins trucks had wires sticking out the front of the fan clutch. 2014, the wires went to the back of the clutch. One of these days, I'm going to try and figure out if I can put that setup on this truck. I don't know. I don't want to take my 4th gen all apart just to try the parts on this. If I ever come across the stuff, I'll try it. But anyway, I mean, there's millions of them running around like this, and they don't eat fan wires. This one just decided that it was going to be the one that did it. Anyway, we could drop our new rad in now and start putting this thing back together. Now we could swap our new fan blade onto our new clutch and get that put back on. So there you can see in there where the wires are damaged, pulled apart. I'm quite sure we could unwrap this all and fix it up and put it back on the shelf as a spare, and it's probably going to be okay to go. But just a goofy idea, wouldn't? I still can't get my head around this. They wanted that finite control over the fan, whereas on a you know, up until 03 they had just relied on a mechanical viscous clutch and let it do its thing. On a smaller car like a gas engine, they'll have electric fans too to help, and they'll work together without having to resort to this. But anyway, it is what it is. Let me get this thing together. All right, I've got the fan clutch back on the fan blade, and we torqued her up to, we torqued all the bolts to 25 foot-pounds. Now I could spin it on to the engine. And the rest of this reassembly is going to just be the opposite of disassembly. So I won't bore you with it. I'll be back when we're putting coolant in it. Well, she's all back together. Now it's time to put coolant in it. And you know what? If it leaks all over the ground, well, whatever. It's a used rat I paid $50 for. You win some, you lose some, I guess. We've been down that road before with this, haven't we? Anyway, I'll be back, and we'll know more shortly. Well, we're getting there. The coolant's going in, and so far, there's nothing dripping. That's a good sign. Well, I've got the radiator filled up to the top, but it's probably going to gurgle down a little bit once it runs. So we're going to crank her up and see what happens. Well, she's got a nice steady idle now, which it didn't have before. Because the computer sensed there was a problem with the fan, it would move the idle around, but I can feel this thing's moving air now. Yeah, the water's all gone. The computer must have finally figured out that everything is okay now, because it just shut the fan off. The fan has been going full bore since I first started this thing up, because there was codes in the computer for coolant fan. But now it just shut off. So hopefully now this thing will start to warm up and we can get our coolant level set. All right, I can see she's finally starting to warm up. Hopefully we'll get the thermostat open soon and this thing will gulp down all that coolant that it wants to gulp down. I think we're pretty close. There is a weep hole in the thermostat and it will let it kind of trickle through. So hopefully we've got it almost full by now. What in the world is that on my, oh, look at that. A little piece of spider web. That was interesting, wasn't it? Well, the coolant level in the radiator is no longer dropping. So I'm going to go ahead and put the cap on it and see if it can build up some pressure. I'll let it pressurize, then I'll shut it down and let it sit overnight. And it should, the coolant level should kind of adjust itself. We'll have a look at it in the morning and then we should be all set. I also want to get it pressurized so I can make sure it doesn't leak. Oh man, she's almost warmed up to where the thermostat's going to open. It is building pressure. I'm going to let it run just a little bit longer and see if we can get the thermostat open. Finally, the top rad hose is warm its entire length. It's good and puffed up. I can feel pressure in it. Our thermostat is open. I'm going to go check the temperature gauge. It doesn't seem like it's getting hot or anything. I can hold my hand on the hose. So that's good. Let's look. Yeah, perfect. It's just sitting there right straight up and down. Now let's look underneath for any leaks. Well, don't see anything. That's good. We'll let it run like that with the thermostat open for a minute, then we'll shut her down. Now we've shut it off. It'll hot soak and then it'll cool. And if it wants any coolant, it'll pull it from here. Then in the morning, we'll double check. I'll make sure the rad is still full and I'll adjust the level in that if need be. And that should do it. I might add also that when I put this thing back together, I put a couple of tie wraps. You can fish them through the rad core and back again. Not really super tight. I just left them, loose. So things have a bit of space to move around because the engine rocks around and goes up and down and back and forth, So it's on rubber mounts after all. So I just wanted to make sure it stays close to the rad core and not close to the fan. So we'll see how that works out. That was one thing on the reassembly I didn't show you. Well, that'll do it for that one. Again, I cannot emphasize this enough. I cannot for the life of me understand how engineers thought it would be a good idea to put wires between the radiator and the fan. What the hell were they thinking? I don't know. Oh, well, it's fixed now. And if it screws up again, we're going to come up with an alternate method because this is silly and I'm done doing it this way. Anyway, I'd like to thank you for tuning into our channel here. Hope you'll come back and see us again. I'm still gobsmacked by this. I'm sorry. Anyway, we'll catch you next time on the Claremont Classic Garage. So long for now.